I am Sheila Puffer, Distinguished University Professor here at Northeastern University in the Damore McKim School of Business. The summit has been very effective. The first year had an amazing attendance of academics, business people, and consultants, and that kind of combination of people is unusual to say the least, and it's very refreshing for all three types of attendees because they can learn from one another. I'm happy to see a similar format this year. I believe that quite a number of people are here for the second time, and that just gives momentum to the conference. Going forward, I think adding more people, focusing more on the real world examples and the interaction with academic research that is ongoing is really important. And that's where innovation can really take off. An example today at the conference was the session on building a credible and ethical organizational culture. And Professor Robertson discussed his research where he had a matrix looking at who the various stakeholders or constituents are for the organization and what are some of the moral resources that the organization and its members can draw upon to instill an ethical culture. And after that academic framework was presented, we had two additional practitioners come in, and they talked about how this actually plays out in their organizations. So it was a beautiful blend of academic research, framing the question, and then illustrated beautifully by corporate practice. There was a very interesting discussion, and the first question was offered by a colleague here at Northeastern who said, how does this framework presented by Professor Robertson apply to educational settings? And he had not thought of that. He had given thought to nonprofit organizations, but not specifically educational ones. So he was just talking real time to address that particular question. And I think once again, it brought to bear how theory and practice can really do well investigating issues together. I would really like to see more people who are working in other parts of the world, either as academics or in business. I think people at different layers of organizations as well. It's wonderful to have speakers who have real heft in their organizations, be they academic, corporate, or consulting. But sometimes people at lower levels have different insights. And I see something very good that's about to happen tomorrow. It's a session where doctoral students are going to be talking about their cutting edge research. And I think that is a step in the right direction. I've been studying leadership for a couple of decades. It's one of my favorite areas of writing, and I specialize in Russian business and management, and my colleagues and I have done a number of comparative studies and think pieces looking at Russian leaders, and particularly Russian entrepreneurs, and what are their leadership styles like compared to entrepreneurs here in the US. And a couple of years ago, Daniel McCarthy, also my Northeastern colleague, and I, and an MBA student here from Ukraine, we published an article in California Management Review. And we found, based on a content analysis of Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year applicants, their application forms in Russia, that they had similar mindsets and leadership styles to those of entrepreneurs here in the US. That these Russian entrepreneurs were more like American entrepreneurs than their own compatriots who were not entrepreneurs. And this is a common finding for convergence around the world with regard to entrepreneurial leadership and other variables involved in management. So we found that a very positive sign. And typically Russian managers, having come from an authoritarian system and a command economy, very hierarchical, those old style managers have generally continued to perpetuate an authoritative commanding style of leadership. But these new entrepreneurs are quite the opposite, and they have much greater tendencies to be demonstrating transactional leadership and much more open style of leadership and participative leadership.